62 and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mr. Bean,
Present.
Mrs. Gordon, Mrs. McCray, Dr. Leatherwood,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mrs. Hutchinson,
Present.
Mrs. Ware.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is communications, announcements, and schedules.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. Pumpkin Day, and of course, that's our unique celebration. I will talk about that in my superintendent's report, but it is this Friday, we hope, because we have a rain day, but October 20th. Veterans Day, we're closed for November 10th. The Veterans Day Parade is November 11th. We break for Thanksgiving from Wednesday to Friday, historically November 20th through the 24th. We do have parent-teacher conferences November 20th and the 21st of Thanksgiving week, and our next board meeting is November 21st.
The next item on the agenda is audience to visitors. This is an opportunity for any member of the audience to address the board on agenda items, and you have a chance later in the agenda to address the board on any item that is a non-agenda item. Is there any member of the audience who care to address the board on any item on the agenda? Hearing none, I will take a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda. And again, as is the policy, if any board member wishes a item on the consent agenda to be removed and made a debatable item, they can so choose to do at this time. Is there any item that any member would like removed and made debatable? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Mr. President,
Yes.
move to approve the consent agenda dated October 17, 2023, and every item contained therein.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam
Mr.
Superintendent?
President, if we could, I'd like to bring Dr. Doug Hamilton, Assistant Superintendent. We're bringing on first reading District Policy Number 6230, which talks about remote educational services. Dr. Hamilton.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The policy that we're requesting, before I describe the policy, I have Mr. Hall here to answer any questions regarding any of the legal issues related to the policy. Back in May 2023, as you maybe remember, Governor Pritzker proclamation that had been ongoing during the COVID-19 surge that across America. On May 23rd, 2023, that proclamation ended. And when that proclamation ended, it ended the idea that school districts could use remote teaching and remote learning as one of the devices for students who could not come to school. As a result of that, the only way that a school district could use any e-learning was really predicated on the basis that there was some emergency across the district, and then an e-learning day. And the board passed that 3-year policy back in May. But this particular policy is unique because it refers to specific children who fall within the category. As you look at the policy really refers to students that may have a communicable disease. And the communicable disease at this present time, still COVID, is still rampant in the United States, as well as some other communicable diseases. Could be flu, could be RSV, could be some other communicable disease. As part of this policy, there are specific things that we have to do to meet the Illinois State Board of Education guidelines, and that's listed in the policy. But the essence of the policy is if a student through a COVID positive result indicates that they can no longer attend school, they will be out for a period of 5 days. The way that the Illinois Department of Public Health has indicated, they are absent for 5 days and they can return at the end of 5 days, but they have to be masked. And so during that period of time, the 5 days that they are out, we could provide remote learning for those students, so their continuing education would not be interrupted. And the person, Dr. Davis has appointed to Mrs. Dusky, would be the person that would be the screener to make sure that the COVID, any other communicable disease would be, she would approve that, then remote learning could occur should the board approve this particular policy. And so this policy would start, there's two readings for the policy. The policy would not, we could not enact this until it was passed by the board. And then we have to submit this to the Illinois State Board of Education to put it on file with them. What would happen is students that would be in remote learning, there's a new attendance code. That attendance code is remote learning present. And for us, that makes a big deal because it's essentially with the way that one of the designation summative criteria is chronic absenteeism. And chronic absenteeism, regardless of the circumstance, a student is absent. And so they tally those all up, and it's one of the primary designations as part of the overall determination for each given school district. So we would be able to provide ongoing learning for those students, mark those students present, and then during that 5-day period, assuming they're well enough during that 5-day period, we'd be able to provide instruction with them. This is all consistent with the guidelines that are there, and we've done this before through e-learning. So we know how to do it, and through the remote learning that we had to do previous years. So this policy really enacts us to be able to provide those services to children. So it's less disruptive in terms of their overall education. And then Mr. Hall can answer any questions regarding the legality of it.
Just a question.
Yes,
So there's a maximum of 10 days, according to
Maximum
the
is
way
10
it's
days,
written?
so it's possible 10 days total. So if a student had a bout of COVID or some other communicable disease without 5 days, that's 5 of the 10. And unfortunately, sometimes students will have more than one bout. If they're absent again, it'd be another 5 days, and that would max out. If somehow they had some other instance where it was a communicable disease, we could not provide those services during that period of time. They'd come back and they would fall within our absentee policy. Number of days they are out, they'd have that much time to make up their work.
So, can I ask another question? Sure. So if it's a sick day and it's not COVID or communicable disease, they cannot have access to the remote
That's
learning?
correct. It has to be very specific. It has to be very specific procedures. And it was enacted that essentially it pertained to these kinds of illnesses.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead.
So you said total, really, it's cumulative. So if they go out twice within the full school year, it has to be less than 10, or 10 is the max.
10 is the maximum number
And
of
the
days.
question, and the benefit that's being provided is we're being allowed to be able to teach them remotely, because otherwise the law says you cannot. And then those 10 days will go toward 10 days of being present in school versus 10 days of absence.
That's absolutely correct.
All right, thank you.
But I do want to bring to the board's attention, this is different than our homebound education program. We have students that we're mandated to provide education with as a result of an ongoing kind of illness. And some of them are out as much as an entire school year because they simply cannot come to school. So this isn't, we're talking about a disease that is contagious, but we're also talking about something that is sporadic, not children who are simply not able to come to school, because that's an entirely different thing, and it's handled by our special education department. We send teachers to the home and provide whatever education that the doctor is indicating that they're able to handle. For example, some students might be able to concentrate for 2 or 3 hours, some students only an hour, it just depends. And then we coordinate with hospitals and also provide support services, although many of the larger hospitals do have an education program that is available to students. So we're not talking about those that are ill over an extended period of time. We're talking about those that have sporadic illnesses primarily due to either the childhood diseases, we're familiar with measles, chickenpox, et cetera. But now we have COVID. We have flu, all of those things are a part of our environment now. And we have not hitherto, after the governor's mandate expired, been able to provide education and mark the child absent. So many of them, this resulted in a failure because of absence, which really is not fair because they're home simply because they're unable to come to school at the time.
One final question.
Yes.
Just to cover the remote learning, snow days are underneath an entirely different umbrella. Would they be,
It's a different umbrella.
would be allowed for remote learning underneath that umbrella for snow days?
Right, the snow days would be covered under e-learning, which the board approved back in May, and we've submitted that, and it's been approved. So e-learning would be, the entire district would be closed, we would do remote teaching during that time. And that's not included, that's a different element than this particular policy.
Just wanted it
This
specified.
This is communicable diseases
Yes.
exclusively.
We're bringing this on first reading, so we will continue to answer questions from anyone and our parents. We're streaming live, so if there are any questions out there, then we will certainly respond to them. But we will not ask for your permission to enact this policy until the November meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's been a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on any item on the consent agenda? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Present, yes.
Mrs. McCray,
Aye.
Dr. Leatherwood,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mrs. Hutchinson,
Aye.
Mrs. Ware.
Aye.
Okay, the matter's been adopted. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
I'd like to begin with our enrollment. We're 2378 as of Friday. We continue to show the same pattern over time, and that is we're bottom heavy in terms of the enrollment. You see the Arcadia, which remains our largest enrolled school at 522, the Hoof at 382, Illinois, almost 400, 394, Indiana, Matheson, but once again, you see the effects of the kindergarten and first grade coming in large numbers at 401. Richton will tick up, and they have a maximum enrollment of 200. These are our 3 and 4-year-olds, but they come in through a screening process, so they come in gradually over time. But we anticipate that our closing number will be 200. And the SALK 273. We currently have 41 students out of district for a total of 2378. The annex, and one of the things that I'd like you to think about, we don't have a name. Maybe we should have a name other than the annex. I don't know. But we're open and we're cooking and we're serving food to our children. And Mr. Walzak is not here with us, but I do, if he's listening, I want to thank him for all that he continues to do. We were blessed by having a few dry days when we were able to pave the parking lot and to put in things that require, interestingly, I learned that there is a gauge that they put in the soil that tells them the percentage of moisture. So every day I would stand there and it's, no, not today, we can't lay. So, but we are open, all of our permits are in order. And you see the tables are set because we will host a meeting of the commission. The commission, as you know, are the 37 superintendents that make up the South Cook area on this Thursday at 8 o'clock. So that will be an interesting experience. It will be food cooked there and served hot. I've been happy with what I've seen so far. Craig monitors not just how many lunches we're serving, but how many of them are actually consumed. Because if you are anywhere near us, you know that traditionally a lot of food is thrown away. So we look at whether or not our students are engaging and without us saying anything. And obviously, we probably have more vegetables thrown away than anything else. But we know we have a hit with pizza and with some of the other things that they are able to fix. We will continue on, and one of the things that we want our CFO to discuss is where do we go from here. But I'm not only looking at the cooking side of it, I'm looking at the availability of a staff development place to have staff development without going outside of the district. That's available to us. We're now beginning to shift the contents of the old district office, which is an interesting place that used to be where we had our board meetings. The boxes, we're going to call in the Secretary of State and have them indicate what kinds of records that we are able to dispose of, because we have records going back 50 years, depending on what it is. And if, of course, they're board records, they're never destroyed. So that's in place. But I'm extremely pleased with Quest, and that is our partner in this venture. But I'm more pleased with the fact that we have added something on. It's your robocall. Thank you. It's out there. Something I think that as we move forward for District 162, it will be a valuable asset. And so that's what it looks like in the short run. On November 8th, and I will certainly send you a reminder, we're going to host a meal for our friends that happen to be elected officials. You know, there are questions about what it is that we're going to do. So I am going to invite both boards, all 6 of our municipalities, the mayors and all elected officials. If they would like to come, we will have a soft ribbon cutting. You know, generally speaking, we don't do big fanfares because we don't think it's necessary, but a soft ribbon cutting. But they will be able to ask us questions. They will be able to tour the facility. But what is more important, the community as a whole, because they represent them, they will be able to answer questions as to what the concept is. We thought originally that 10,000 meals a day could be prepared, which we thought that was a lot. But now that it's open, then Quest is telling us that easily they could do 20,000 meals a day. So we will discuss that, but we're looking forward this Thursday to the superintendents and their comments, because they look at things from a particular standpoint. And remember, most of them have cooking kitchens, so we'll see what it is they have to say. And then November 8th, with all of our elected officials as they tour, and I'm sure they have many questions to ask us. So if you want to look at it in terms of the journey, then from a skating rink to a 10,000 meal preparatory kitchen. So, but that's where we are, and you can see the pictures. But Pumpkin Day,
Before you move on to Pumpkin Day.
Yes.
How many employees has this facility generated? How many people have we hired there?
no, it's not, Quest existed in another area, and they simply brought their employees here. We're not hiring employees. We maintained all of our lunchroom employees, and we will continue to do so. Those are the people that interact with the children. But we were never cooking because those are not the kinds of kitchens that we have. But these are employees of Quest, not of us. And so therefore, we have not hired them. And so therefore, they're not necessarily of the community.
Question?
So it's not about adding jobs, no.
Yes.
Was there a time,
I'm sorry.
November 8th, was there a time?
I'm sorry. I
Time?
couldn't hear you.
Have you established a
Oh,
time for the
Yes,
village
6:30.
event?
But you will get a reminder and an invitation to come. Pumpkin Day, you remember we originally started and developed this concept as a result of COVID. Now we've fallen in love with this, and it's become a part of what it is we do, and it puts smiles on the faces of our children. So all of our schools are going to have Pumpkin Day, and I I think it's precious to see the little ones going home with the pumpkins on their seats beside them on the bus. But in addition to that, the Who've decided that Mrs. Calvin, that they wanted to be a part of Pumpkin Day, but what they do is something different. They go to nursing homes and they share, they paint their pumpkins. Each of the people that are there, we hope that we put smiles on their faces because we take such joy and the children take such joy in going and sharing with them. But this year, we've received a call from two of the managers of nursing homes that asked if we had any books. It's one thing we absolutely have, are plenty of books, and they indicated that there are volunteers that come to read to the inhabitants of the nursing homes, but they don't have anything to read. And so Mrs. Calvin and her angels are going to be taking bags of books, and we'll be sharing, as you know, when books begin to age, then it's an issue for us, and we never want to throw a book away. But more than that, that's a generation, I think, that values having a hardback book. And I'm not sure that this is the generation that's necessarily using a Kindle, et cetera. And so we will be providing, in addition to the pumpkins that are painted and painted beautifully, thank you, Mrs. Calvin, but we'll be taking a number of books, and perhaps on a quarterly basis, we discussed that we need to make visits to them. And it's not unheard of that we would just sit and hold a conversation. Maybe perhaps we could let them know that we care simply by sharing some thoughts and things that are going on, because they don't have that much contact with young people. And so I've just been ever so encouraged by the attitude of those that are just welcoming us to come in. And so that's what the Who've is going to do, rather than who knows what the Illinois is going to do, and the Matheson and the Sauk. Everyone has their own secret plans for Pumpkin Day, so we don't want them to share that with us. We'll visit on Pumpkin Day. And I do, for members of the board, you're more than welcome. Please, 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 Pumpkin Day is a day for everyone. So when you get up in the morning, put pumpkins, have that in your mind, go out, visit. You also may be fortunate enough to take home a pumpkin. So, but Veterans Day. And Richton Park has traditionally hosted the Veterans Day Parade. It's a little different this year. Every year it changes, and I think change is good for us. So this year, actually, we're going to start at the train station and come back down Sauk Trail to the Ridge Township campus. So that's where we're going to end up. But the Who've will march this year along with our high school and 227's band. You remember years and years ago, before COVID, we used to have Hillcrest and we had Homewood Flossmoor. We'll see if they come back to the parade. But we do look forward to participating. And in addition, this Saturday, Who've will go to the township. They're having a competition for middle school bands. So that's going to be interesting. And we are entered into that competition. And the Southland Drumline is entered. However, we're marching in the parade after dark, which is downtown. And so the entire band is not able to participate in the competition. So we're doing both. We have the drum line, and then we have Who've that is participating, and Mrs. Shears, who is the director, will remain there and find out if we won. But if not, we gave it our all, and so it'll be an interesting Saturday. So Veterans Day. But we have a secret, and it's a secret because the state board, Mr. Talley, Dr. Trumich, have not released the test data for any of us, but they have released the parameters. And we know, although we'll just say it's a secret until October 3rd, we don't really know what it's going to be. But if you look at the Illinois, if you look at the data, And that's all we ever look at. If you look at the amount of growth, if you look at the attainment, if you look at the attendance, no matter how you look at the Illinois, you could stand on top of your head and you still know that it's going to be something that hitherto has never been, and that is exemplary. So can we congratulate the Illinois? So it won't be a secret for long. What we intend to do as a board after they release the data is to find a suitable date. And we're going to have the whole Illinois family here at our district office. We're going to have one big, huge celebration and a thank you to all of your teachers and to you and your other administrators. You've done a fine job. But let me say also that the Illinois is the first school to be named exemplary. I think it's just magnificent. And I do want to thank Dr. Mays for her leadership. But, you know, we're always dependent upon our classroom teachers. And so even through COVID, even if we look at the whole concept of learning loss, and we do have learning loss. However, in math and in English language arts, the Illinois was able to move past that. So I'm extremely proud of them. But as soon as we have a date, and we will talk to Dr. Mays about this after we have the official announcement, it would be our pleasure to have a celebration, because I think nothing is more important than celebrating, and that is academic excellence, and that's what we'll be talking about. So thank you, Mr. Bean. That concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the superintendent on her report? Hearing none, we will return to the agenda. New business. There's a matter concerning the working cash fund. I will entertain a motion, please.
Mr. President? Approve the resolution abating the working cash fund of school district number 162, Cook County, Illinois.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Good evening, Board. This is a transfer actually from the working cash fund into the site and construction or capital projects fund, as it's referred to here in the resolution. This is budgeted in the original budget for the 23-24 school year, and is the funding for some of the summer projects that are wrapping up now.
We've had a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ware?
Aye.
Mrs. Hutchinson?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Dr. Leatherwood?
Aye.
Mrs. McCray?
Aye.
Mr. Bean?
Aye. Okay, I was too quick in moving to new business. I skipped legislation. Madam Superintendent, is there any legislation pending that, or probable that we know of?
No, sir, not at this time.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a motion to reject a bid for a new marquee sign. I'll entertain a motion, please.
Mr. President,
Yes.
move to reject the bid received for a new marquee sign.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we reject the bid. Any
Mr.
discussion on it?
President,
Yes.
the bids were simply too expensive. We'll go back out into the market when, at some point, when we think we can get a better price.
So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean?
Aye.
Mrs. McCray?
Aye.
Dr. Leatherwood?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hutchinson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ware?
Aye.
Okay, so the matter has been adopted. Is there any old business?
No, sir.
Any board members' issues or reports?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I just want to say, I was going to make some comment about the exemplary status and just everything else that's happening. I saw that the, the building is open, the X, I think that's a name that might be forthcoming. And it's just so many great things happening. And I just want to give the heartiest congratulations to everyone for all the amazing work that's happening across all of the different campuses. This is really just fantastic, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. So thank you all for your leadership. Thank you for your steadfastness and just excellence, just exuding from every aspect of, the work that you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Leatherwood.
I think we all echo that. That is a wonderful anchor to the campus, and it was an eyesore until we were able to acquire it and turn it around. So again, on behalf of the board, we congratulate the staff for a job well done.
One more comment, please.
Yes.
I did have the pleasure to attend our last two open houses at Illinois and at, what was the other one? Arcadia. I didn't forget. Who could forget the Bears? Oh, it was fantastic as usual. They were just flowing out of the concrete. Their parents, the students, everyone was just happy to be there. And I always like to immerse myself as if I was a student, and how would I feel walking in? And I became a bear instantly. It was just all the posters on the wall. I felt like it was this academic just overflow, and it was a happy place to be. The teachers were happy, parents were happy. It was a lovely place, and Mrs. Mays with her secret surprise big box. I so thought a person was coming out. I asked Dr. Davis, is there a person in that box? She says, no, just wait. And what do you call that, a book vending machine?
Book vending machine.
Oh, let's go.
It lit up. You got the idea it was going to be a video game, which is a kind of trick on the kid's mind. It gets them right there, and it's actually books. So it was great. Your open house was fantastic. Your, I want to call it the gift shop, but it's not. It's the PBIS.
Yes, Wolf's Den.
Yes, I can't wait to be good so they can get over there and choose some of that. It was just well stocked. So I thank you both for all your hard work and your teachers. It was a great event. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is audience to visitors. It's a time in which any member of the audience can address the board on any subject whatsoever. Is there any member of the audience who care to address the board at this time? Okay. The next item on the agenda is executive session. The board will consider adjournment into an executive session to consider pending, probable, or imminent litigation, information regarding a student discipline case, and the appointment of employee, employment, compensation, discipline, and performance, dismissal of specific employees or public officials, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, security purchases, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel equipment to respond to an actual threatened or reasonable potential danger to the safety of the employees, students, staff, public or private property of the public or private property, or of the sale or purchase of securities, investments, or investments to contracts. 5 Illinois CS 120, Brand 2, C25, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There would be no board action following this executive session. May I have a motion, please, to adjourn to executive session?
Mr. President,
Yes.
move to adjourn to executive session to consider pending, probable, and imminent litigation information regarding a student discipline case and the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, dismissal of specific employees or public officials, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees and their representatives, deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, the purchase of or lease of real property for the use of the public body, security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to an actual, a threatened, or a reasonable potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, the public or private property. or the sale or purchase of securities, investments, or investment contracts.
No second to that motion.
I'm sorry, second.
Okay, thank you. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Mrs. McCray,
Aye.
Dr. Leatherwood,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mrs. Hutchinson,
Aye.
Mrs. Ware.
Aye.
Okay. Want to stay here or run?
Yes, sir, if we could.
Let's see.